Well, we got a package here, guys. You see we got termite and then moved around. I believe that's gonna be our radiator. What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's video. I had actually started recording this earlier and a monsoon came and you couldn't hear yourself think in the shop. So reshooting everything. This week, on this week's video at least, we are plumbing. We're gonna get the hydroboost plumbed, the cooling system plumbed, everything except for the air conditioner. I'm not gonna too much be focusing on the air conditioner right now because my main focus is just to get termite where we can run it, where it will fire, where it will run, stuff like that. So what we're looking at is, you saw we got our radiator in. I've got it just sitting in there. I cut me a 2x4 that would fit down in the frame rail just to kind of give me an approximate height. I think that's pretty close to where it's going to sit. Anyway, it may come down just a fuzz, but that's pretty much where that's going to sit. And doing this to kind of get a measurement between the radiator and the water pump, because my plan is to run a clutch fan. I know electric fans are kind of the easy go-to. It's what a lot of people do. I've had electric fans in the past. I've also had them catch on fire and leave me on the side of the road. So I'm just a fan of clutch fans. That's what Super Bee has. That's what this has always had in my truck. Everything clutch fans, if possible, because they're just simple and they just work. And that's all we're looking for. We're not running no crazy built motor where we need massive cooling or nothing like that. It's all stock setup. So clutch fan is more than sufficient because that's what this motor came with. So I do think, looking at this, that I will have enough, because I've got about, from you measure from here where the clutch fan will thread on and meet the actual pulley. So from there to here is about 5.5 inches. And the overall length of the clutch is like just over 4.5, not quite 4 3/4, about 4 5/8, I guess you'd say. So that's your overall length. The fan bolts to the backside of the clutch, so it'll fit. I can do that. So I wanted to check that off. But also we've got the factory transmission lines here. I'm about to slide under there and pop those in to see how close they come to here. To the trans cooler here on the side. And this is one of the reasons I went with this radiator, because it had a built-in trans cooler and I wanted that so I wouldn't have to have one more thing to the front. But if these lines will reach, I've got a quick connect. I've got one. I'll have to find another one. But that just screws into there and might, if this little reaches, that needs a quick connect. So if this will bolt up and plug right up to the radiator, I am going to be super, super happy. If not, if it's too short or whatever the case may be, then I will probably just cut this off right in here somewhere and just do AN lines on up and connect up with just AN lines. We'll do a pressure just like we did on the fuel. So I like running original stuff because it's here. I already have it. I know it's going to fit. I know it's going to work. So it's free and it's going to work. So if I have it here, that's going to do. And I also want to try to reuse the factory fan shroud. Now, that's not an original fan shroud. That one was from Quadratech. But if I can modify that to work with this, then I'm definitely going to do that. So also, we have our hydroboost lines from BJ's. So this is all your stuff to hook the hydroboost up. Man, you see BJ's it's got new stickers now. But it comes with, it's basically the same as it was hooking up fuel, but it comes with all the Earl's fittings, and Earl's is really good stuff. It comes with all your stuff there to be able to hook in the high pressure line to hook the hydroboost up. So the only reason I wish I'd have just bought that earlier and already had it. But my thinking was, there's a local parts house that does hydraulic lines. I was like, I'll just run over and get them to make me up some. And but they never could figure out or get their hands on the right fittings. So the BJ's kit fits. Here's what's cool. So all the fittings that you order that kit for is for a factory Wagoneer of the late 80s into the 90s. So this is an 89. So the only one I was concerned, I was like, but I don't know about the fitting that screws into the factory pump down here. But thankfully, it's the same exact size as the fitting. It's a 16 millimeter that goes into the back of the factory Wagoneer power steering pump. So that fits, so it works. So that kit will bolt right up, screw right into the Hemi 5.7 power steering pump, at least on the pre-Eagle head, that style pump. So super, super cool there that I didn't have to go figure out another fitting or track nothing down. It's screwed right in there. So I'm going to get this system all plumbed and hooked up. And, man, we're just getting closer to this thing firing. So I'm going to get to work, guys, and I'll check back with you in a second. All right, well, we got our transmission lines routed up, and it does look like they're going to fit. I put the radiator in there. I'm going to have to, this top one, the bottom one fits really good. This top one, I'm going to have to kind of massage the hard line just a little bit, not much at all, and it'll plug right up to the top. I ended up having to redo all of my sensors in there, which I kind of wanted to do anyway. I had a T onto this front sensor, and I just never did really feel good about it. So all of that was kind of in the way of everything there. So I ended up just removing the plug, putting my sensor to the Dakota Digital there. That should work. I don't know why it wouldn't. That's the same hole that I used to prime the whole oil system. So it should be fine. What I'm doing now is I've got all of my fittings into the hydroboost, into the pump, down here into the steering box as well. And I am just, then I'll screw on my fittings and just kind of getting a measurement. And I'm about to start cutting my hose and running all of my high pressure lines for the hydroboost. So it's just AN line. It's just like it was when I run the fuel line. Except you're dealing with quite a bit more pressure with this system. So I'm gonna get to cutting and get this stuff in. So one thing you want to do, you can use electrical tape. I like zip ties. I think zip ties work better, but you got to put that on first, then make your cut, and it will just keep all of this braid from fraying. And so now that we've got it cut, pull the zip tie off, just kind of get rid of some of the junky burrs there. And this guy should slide right on like so. So I'm gonna get that twisted on and get that first fitting put in. All right, so if you've never done AN lines before, the main nut here that slides over the hose is reverse threaded. So when you put it on there, you're gonna go opposite of what you normally would to tighten. So normally you would go clockwise to tighten, you're gonna go counterclockwise. And Earl's calls for about an 1/8 inch gap between the hose bottom and out in here. So then you wanna oil up this one. It's gonna screw in regular clockwise like normal, and they call for 60 thousandths in this gap right here. So I've got my feeler gauge set to 60 thousandths, and right now I'm just a little bit loose. So we're just gonna go down, keep checking it. Close. Too far. All right, so there's 60 thousandths. So this hose is built. Okay, I don't know if you can see this on camera or not. I can't tell because of my tripod, but there's threads in there, and they are reversed. So you slide your hose in there, and normally to tighten you would go this way. But you're going to just start pushing twisting the other way. And it just, you feel it getting tighter and tighter as it goes on there. Keep checking in here for your distance. All right, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. Then, take a marker and you mark where that's sitting, just to make sure that when you tighten it up, it ain't pulling this off. I know that's big on like the fuel lines we did. I fought with them a lot. These seem to be holding. I guess it's just heavier duty stuff. It's gonna hold a lot better. All right, guys, well, they're all in. You can see we got our return coming down with our T that loops under the steering column, steering shaft, and goes back up into the bottom of the reservoir. Runs up here and just hooks up. So we got our return here, our feed, main feed, and then our to the steering box is over there. I am running mine upside down, my hydroboost upside down, but you can do that. That's perfectly fine, doesn't matter. I actually think it looks better upside down because it makes all the hoses go down low, but they're all nice and neat down low, and yeah, should work fine. Now we gotta get some brackets built for the radiator. So we are going to, it's kind of in the afternoon now. I think Andrew wants to work on the house some, so. All right, well guys, new day in the shop. I've already been kind of chugging away at this. At the moment, I am building radiator mounts so that we can get this stuff tied in. Don't worry about that being what it is. We got our template cut out for, we got a cut here, and a bend here. And that will, you know, mount there. I did not go out and steal this just now to have aluminum. That thing has been, who knows how old that thing is. It's been laying around here in the woods and everything forever. But in here, I finished up a little bit of the wiring that was still left, mainly in hooking up the switch for the box that just allows you can maybe see it right here. That's how you do all your adjusting on the Dakota Digital. You just pressing that button, you go through all the menus on here. And I've got all of my menus, I believe, pretty set up. So I got that done. Also got the dim light hooked up so that the back lighting on the dash will work. That was about the only thing I had left over on the wiring. So that's done. And I've got all of our stuff ordered for up in here, random little stuff. This is just stuck on there, just kind of figure out what I'm gonna be doing with the filter. And I've been checking stuff off the list up here. So right now we are working on getting the radiator mounted. I've got a buddy in town who welds aluminum. So he told me just get them built and I'll drop those off to him one day this week and he'll get them TIG welded nice and neatly onto the radiator, because I've never welded aluminum and I don't have a way to weld aluminum. So I'm gonna drop those off and let him take care of that. But I'm gonna get them built today and I'll check back with you guys here in just a second. All right guys, we got a little mail call today. We've got some parts here. Just got a little breather here for the vent that would have run over to the air box, but we're not running air box. I just put a little filter on there. And this is from Holly. As you can see here, we've got a little issue coming out of the water pump that since we put this spacer from DIY in there, it puts this out way too close to this lid, and there's just no way to get a hose in there to do anything. So I was trying to find some way to angle this out, and this came up. So Holly makes these for the 5.7 and 6.1 and 6.4 Hemis and all that stuff. But essentially what it does, it bolts in, and not only is it already 45, but you can swivel it once it's in, so we'll be able to kind of angle the, the nozzle to be a little bit more in line with our radiator. So pretty neat product there. It's like 70 bucks or something like that from Summit. But it's gonna save a lot of headache and just make that a little easier, look nice and all of that. Got a radiator cap there, which y'all seen radiator caps. I'm gonna drop these off tomorrow to my buddy. Was gonna do it today, and I had a job going. My hair probably looks insane, I know. But I had a job to do, and as soon as I got home from that, we've been working on the house, and I am just beat. So I didn't get to run that by him today, but I've got a freer day tomorrow. Tomorrow's a little bit more free, so I'm gonna drop that off tomorrow, and get that to him where he can get those welded up. Well, I got some longer bolts today, and got the inlet in, so you can see it swivels. That's obviously not tight. It's just barely finger tight. You can see I can still turn it, so that I can kind of swivel it where I want it. So once I get the radiator back and we start fooling with hoses, we'll be able to have a little bit of movement there, but it's got plenty of clearance now, so that'll be good on that. So I dropped my radiator off at my buddies today, so they're working on that. They weld aluminum. That's what they do for a living. So I dropped it off to them, and they're fooling with that. Don't look like I'm gonna have it back. I may have it back today, I don't know. He texted me a little while ago and they were fooling with it, but it's not gonna be back in time for this video to get edited and put back together. So that's gonna probably be it for this week, guys. Just a bunch of random kind of an update video. Here's where we are. But it's once I get the radiator back from him, the only thing really left is to find an upper and a lower radiator hose, to find out which ones are gonna fit that. And once those are hooked up, it's fluids. It's put some water into the radiator, put some fluid into the power steering pump, and hook the trans lines up, which they're just quick connect. They'll plug right up, and we can fire this thing. So what we want to know is, so it looks like the next week, oh, well, he just texted me, radiator's done. So next week, could be very, very possibly a first fire up video. Andrew and I were talking today. We've never done a YouTube live, and so would you guys like to see a live of the first fire up of termite with a Hemi in it? I don't know. We have horrible internet out here, so who knows if we'd even possibly be able to do it. But if enough people say, hey, yeah, we would kind of like to, we would watch that, we would tune in. I don't know which day it would be on. Probably later toward the end of next week, maybe. But let us know if that's something you think you would tune in and like to watch, or we can just wait and just do it in the video. Either way. So we're real close, and yeah, just buttoning up little stuff, but we're right there. So I'm gonna try to get out there and get this radiator picked up before they all go home. And that's gonna conclude this week's video, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks as always for watching. All right, guys, before we close out, got the radiator back. Them boys know they can weld. Did you see they got them on there nice and neat? So all I got to do now is drill the holes, and the weld's real nice. Drill the holes. I got the fluid. I stopped by the Dodge dealership and got some fluid for the hydro boost and power steering. So anyway, guys, see y'all next week.